listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Castle After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Castle After Show.
Oh yeah, hey, what's up everybody? Bingus for doing, and we're doing another episode of Castle Season 5, Episode 9. This was titled Secret Santa. I'm your host, Bamm Ericsen, and I'd like to introduce to you my co-host.
Yes, hi, I'm Paige Sullivan.
I'm Samara Bay.
And I'm Larice Shamar.
So, all right, so let's dig right into it. This is the last, this is their winter finale for Castle. And so what did you guys think about tonight's episode?
I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sucker for Christmas. I told Samara I was listening to Christmas music on the way here to get me in the mood for the episode.
What were you listening to?
Just the radio. There's like a radio station that plays only Christmas music. So I had my other station on, but I decided to change to get, really get in the zone for this episode. And I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I am a total sucker, not even for Christmas, but just for like sentimentality, and I was totally tearing up at the end there. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I think this episode has definitely been one of the better episodes. I mean, because it kind of kept you stringing along, but it kept you more exciting. And like, again, it's Christmas. I heard my first Christmas song today. I was like, man, I think I have to buy gifts.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot that we need to discuss, so let's get right into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is Lainey and Esposito. So Lainey, who's played by Tamala Jones, who appeared on our first recap of the season, she hinted that the two might get together. And so what did you guys think about...
Get back together.
They get back together.
Yeah.
What did you think about their interaction in her room?
I personally thought it was strange because it was so simple. It was so, I know what you want to do. I know you want to hang out, but right now it's not the right time. Give me a call if you still want to hang out after all of this is over. That was crazy to me because Lainey's such kind of like a hard ass all the time. And here she is just, oh yeah, you can call me. Like, is she that over it? That now it's like a new thing.
It's true. I feel like I remember so much of her aggression in their, in the post-relationship phase that it was definitely strange to see a total turnaround. I mean, clearly, like, they're trying to set up that something is going to maybe happen in 2013.
I mean, I really think that, that Esposito, he was just kind of smooth with it. He just kind of came down nonchalantly. He was like, kind of asking her, like, hey, let's spend Christmas together. But, she blew him off. But at the same time, he was persistent about it.
And it was a very Lainey thing to do when she totally called him on, like, I know what you're trying to do.
And Esposito, he was really smooth with it because he wasn't even supposed to be in there. He followed Beckett there, so he was really smooth with it. But I also think that if Lainey would have just caved in so easy, then it would not have been fun. Like, she needs to play hard to get a little bit. He needs to be smooth. This can't be just a quick jump.
It's Christmas.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a gift. It's a gift. It's Christmas.
Lainey's giving a gift. The gift of her love.
Yes.
I don't know.
Maybe they're just being more mature, just like saying what they need.
Yeah. And she's going out with her girlfriends. What girlfriends? You ain't got no girlfriends.
I mean,
We never seen any.
She got Beckett?
Well,
Yeah, but clearly not hanging out
I
on
think the biggest
Christmas.
thing was that Esposito did not want to spend Christmas alone because everybody had somewhere to go possibly, and Esposito just was looking for somebody like, hey, can you please spend Christmas with me?
Here's my question. Nobody but Castle is spending it with, his mother, his daughter. I mean, for me, Christmas is always about your aunts and your uncles and your cousins and everybody. Do none of them have that? I feel like Esposito must have a sister or a brother or a mom.
I was especially wondering that about Esposito, because it seemed like if he didn't have Ryan, then he didn't have anyone.
Yeah, and I think obviously it was to play along with the theme of the show, that the holiday spirit, and I think that was something they had to do, have somebody be alone on Christmas. So I get it, but it's also kind of like, he has to have somebody. Like, it can't just be Ryan in his life. It can't be all he has.
No, I can agree with them because, like, me, like, moving somewhere brand new, I didn't know anybody at all. So, like, I'm just kind of like, hey, what everybody doing for Christmas, because my family's basically, like, 3,500 miles away, and tickets are real expensive. I was like, hey, I'm trying to, like, tag along. Like, can I go to Christmas with you guys? It's kind of weird, but at the same time, I kind of see what he's doing.
Yeah.
But overall,
I think
it's
maybe
like,
we just would have liked a little mention of what the deal is with his family.
Yeah.
Are they
'Cause
far
we
away?
don't know-
Do they not exist?
We
or,
don't know who his family is. You're
Because
right.
we know
yeah.
so much about, like, Beckett's background, and with her, obviously we're learning more slowly about.
it's like
Esposito
everybody
and
has
Ryan.
somebody. But
Yeah.
Esposito.
No,
Yeah.
he has somebody. He has the neighbors.
But at the end,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that they touched upon Lainey and Esposito. I thought it was nice. I think we've been waiting for it, especially since Tamala was here, and we were like, when's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen?
tease.
Because everything, you haven't even heard mention of it, really. And
Yeah.
most other seasons really focused strongly on the relationships, when Ryan was getting married, and when Esposito and Lainey were together, and when they were broken up, and when Beckett and Castle are back on, back off. Like, it's constant relationship statuses changing within this precinct. And this season, it's been very status quo in that department. And I think maybe, like you're saying, in 2013, we will see some new things develop for everybody.
especially because I feel like they spent the fall really digging into this whole Castle Beckett relationship, and they were like, back off on everyone else. Let's see
Yeah.
what this really is.
I'm also glad that Lainey's character was in more than one scene, because she's only
Yeah.
been in really one scene per episode. So this week she had 2 scenes.
Yeah.
So I was really happy for that.
That's strange to me, because I feel like in previous seasons she's been a heavy hitter in most
Yeah.
of the scenes, and this season it's really been one scene an episode basically. And I don't know if it's because, like Samara was saying, that they're playing so much into Castle and Beckett, and I think that's why everybody's kind of taken a back seat to the two of them. But it was nice to see her again.
And then also there. Oh, go ahead. What do you want to say?
No, I would say, do you really think they can get back together?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's the season to be giving, but I don't think so.
I'm really, as much as I like Lainey and Esposito together, I really hope that, just a backstory. So when Tamala was here, she said that Dwight Howard was a fan of the show and he wanted to come onto the show, and so that she connected him with the creator and the casting person. And so hopefully now that Dwight is in Los Angeles, hopefully they will. Why are you laughing? You don't
Nothing.
believe it?
No, I'm just the white in Los Angeles. That's all. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, he's here, and so it would be cool if if they had a scene together, or maybe he was like a potential, love interest to make
Maybe
Esposito
that
jealous. We
pushes
talked
the
about
whole
that.
Esposito thing
Yeah.
into happening.
Or maybe he could just be like her brother or something, or like a cousin. I mean, he can still come on.
Bam's like,
right?
no, that is not my fantasy.
Special guest, Dwight
Yeah.
Howard.
That would be pretty interesting, but
We'll see, I
see.
guess.
Yeah.
I mean, this episode really had a lot in depth into these people's lives, which I kind of liked.
Yeah.
And so now let's go forward with Gates or Sir or Captain Gates. So her family, her in-laws are in town, and she didn't like it.
She hates them.
She hates
Like,
it.
She don't want to go home at all. She's like, I'd rather be at work than to go home.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to see. Like I said in previous episodes, this season we're seeing a lot more of Captain Gates. We're seeing a lot more of her personality shine through, just kind of getting goofier, a little funnier in these episodes. It was nice to see her be relatable. She wasn't just that scary captain in her office who
Yeah.
they all call Sir,
Yeah.
but she was a person who has other people in her life who affect her day to day. And I think everybody, even if you've just been in a relationship and you meet the parents, it's always a very hit or miss thing. You either hit it off
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
you don't.
I was gonna totally say the same thing. Like, I've never been married, but you've been where you've had to meet, the parents, and sometimes it's just like, Especially at Christmas time, because you
Yeah.
have to adapt to the family's their traditions and the type of foods that they eat. And it's like, I don't really eat anything, and so it's like when I say no, I can't eat this, or no, I don't drink this. It's like
It has meaning. It has weight. 'cause
you know,
you're
and,
like,
and
you
they
want
try to
them
force
like
it, and I'm
you.
like, no, I can't eat that, or I can't drink that, and no, I'm not drinking liquor. So it's just kind of one of those things where.
Do you think meeting the parents like Christmas time for the first time is the best time?
No.
I think it's the worst.
Yeah.
We're on the same page here today. No. Yes.
It's totally the worst.
I think Castle's daughter made that pretty clear. When
It's-
she's
yeah.
like,
There's too much riding on it, too much
Yeah.
pressure. When it's a holiday like that, it's hard enough to get a family together on a holiday without fighting. It's hard enough to make that blend.
Your own
and then to
family.
and
Yeah.
then to bring up an outsider into that situation. I personally know my holidays are not a quiet, peaceful holidays. I mean, they are loud. My siblings are fighting. If I had to bring somebody completely new, whether a friend or a boyfriend, into that situation, it would be completely overwhelming.
I think you'd be broken up.
I think we'd be broken up. I think we'd be over. But in regards to the holidays, everybody, I know you're all shopping, or at least I am. And if you haven't started, you should. And an easy way to do so is going to Amazon. So we have a banner on our AfterBuzz page for Amazon, and you can click on that, and it will bring you directly to the Amazon website, where you can do shopping for yourself, shopping for your loved ones, any kind of holiday shopping that you want to. And it really doesn't take anything more than a couple seconds for you to go to our site, and it'll bring you directly to Amazon, no extra cost to you. It just helps us here at AfterBuzz. It gives us a little kickback, which helps us keep the lights on, and we want to keep coming to you, especially in the new year. So make sure you do that, and check it out. I mean, Amazon has everything. So help us out and help yourself out all at the same time, all from the comfort of your home, if that's where you're located. So make sure to check it out.
Okay, well done. Okay, so let's go into, before we get into the murder, because we have a lot that we want to discuss,
Yes.
but let's get into what we call broken tradition. So with the holidays coming around and Christmas, you know, people have certain traditions that they do. So, you know, Esposito has his tradition that he and Ryan does. And so let's go into that one before we go into to Castle's traditions with the family, and then Beckett, her non-tradition, whatever you want to call hers. And then so, all right, so let's talk about Ryan and Esposito, their tradition for New Year's Eve, or
It's
Christmas
a college
Eve, I'm sorry.
tradition.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, hey, I'm not going home for the holiday, so let's just get a 6-pack of beer and play Madden. Like, who does that?
it's definitely a single guy thing to do during a certain phase of your life.
Yes.
And Ryan's out of that phase.
When did he get married? I don't remember, but it
Last
must have been
Last
before.
last season, and
Last-
we
But it was after the holidays.
and
last
we've
year.
never, we don't know who the wife is.
Well, we've heard of her.
No.
We've
We've
never
heard of her,
met
but
her.
she's never appeared.
Is
on,
that true?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we don't know who she is. So I
Jenny,
mean,
right?
Yeah,
That's her name?
Forgot about
yeah. The
that.
wife's name is Jenny.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, he got married last season. I don't even think they really touched too much upon the holidays last season, because wasn't Beckett shot, and
Yeah.
then that was the hiatus. They didn't
Right.
do this, holly jolly Kris Kringle thing that they did.
This is really the first Christmas episode that I can remember, unless
I
it's
think
been
it's
so
the first
long
one
that
that they've
I can't
done.
recall.
Yeah.
I saw that on one of the message boards
Yeah.
earlier today. This is like a thing. Maybe in honor of, Beckett and Castle becoming more of a thing.
Yeah, but I think with Ryan and Esposito, this is really, two homeboys, two friends,
Yeah.
where one is married and now he realizes that he can't do the things that he used to do because now he's a married man.
Yeah.
And so Esposito's a little bummed because why? He doesn't have a girlfriend. He doesn't have Lainey. He's all by himself. So you could tell that he was really hurt inside, but he had to respect the fact that, his best friend is married.
It's a turning point. Everybody hits that mark in their life, certain milestones where you have to stop doing things.
Yeah.
And where your friends move on, or they have a change in their life and your friendship has to evolve. And I think that's what him and Ryan this whole season have been going through. Like when they were fighting earlier in the season, they're hitting some roadblocks.
Yeah.
They're working through them. That's what friendship is, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
Totally.
I agree. I mean, but again, what he's been rejected by Ryan kind of leads to him kind of going to Lainey and asking her to spend Christmas with him. So he's just kind of reaching out to somebody because he want, that comfort of somebody for the holidays.
Oh, well, he'll have to find some comfort elsewhere. Poor guy.
With the neighbors.
Poor thing.
Oh, goodness.
And so now let's go into Castle's Christmas traditions, and let's go into Beckett's Christmas or non-Christmas.
Non-Christmas tradition.
Non-Christmas, non-tradition, yeah.
You go ahead. You want to talk about or describe?
Well, I think as usual, it's really fun to see Castle's like crazy. I have the money, so why not go for it? I mean,
That house was ridiculous.
insane, and it's not just like we have a tree. It's like we
He
have a
has
tree.
a
And we
15
Rockefeller
foot
Center.
tree.
It's like Rockefeller. When his daughter said that she wanted to go ice skating, he should have been like, "Do it here. We got
Right.
the ice rink right here." Yeah, so that was, and seeing him come back with his daughter and all the presents and the the big bags and of stuff. Clearly his traditions all have that very traditional quality to them. That Christmas means family coming together, and he seemed to have a very uncomplicated relationship to Christmas.
Yeah, and I feel like more people lean towards what Beckett has. I think I have a lot of friends and family who I know don't like Christmas for something that happened in their life. It's turmoil for their family at that time, so they don't enjoy the holidays. I feel like there's a lot of Grinches out there who really don't like the holidays. So for Beckett, it's for a serious reason. I mean, she lost her mother around Christmas time, and ever since that year, her and her father haven't celebrated. And so that's her tradition, is no tradition at all, is just not celebrating. So I think the problem in this episode is that Castle is so gung-ho and over the top and into it. And the thing I love about Castle is, yeah, he's got all the money and he's got the huge tree and all these presents, but I don't feel like I don't like him for it. I don't feel like I'm mad at him for having this wealth and this overwhelming amount of decorations. I think he's still endearing about why he likes Christmas.
He's always just the little kid.
Yeah, and he doesn't take his wealth, and use it and make his head get big, really. And I think that was a huge thing in this episode too, was knowing what's important in your life.
Yeah, I think it just kind of takes his tradition, just wanting family to be with each other and to love each other. I mean, because the decoration itself, like, I never had decorations of that massive.
No.
15-foot tree. But at the same time, he just wanted everybody to spend that time with each other as he continued to, harass Beckett about spending Christmas with him, and she continued to reject him. But I think just the love that he had for each and every person, with his mom, his daughter, with Beckett. It was just like, I just want to spend this time with people that I love and that I enjoy. But everybody kept rejecting him. He kind of felt bad about it, but in the end, everybody kind of came together and spent Christmas with him. So it kind of made him like overly happy.
But also, Beckett was going along with it, but you can tell through her disposition that she didn't really want to do it.
Yeah.
And then she finally, lied to him. And, she said that, she was asked to work. And then we find out the real reason that she was not so amped about wanting to do the Christmas was because her background is a little, what's what I'm looking for, is a little, she doesn't have happy memories.
Tainted. It's a little tainted.
Yeah, tainted.
Yes.
And tainted with, now, my question is, did this have to do, was her mom murdered on Christmas?
I don't know if she was murdered on Christmas. I think it was around Christmas because she says
Yeah,
it was January
January
9th before we took the Christmas decorations down. So
Yeah.
I think it happened between Christmas
yeah.
and New Year's or
Yeah.
somewhere around there. I don't know if we've ever actually gotten a specific date that her mother was. I'm
Yeah.
sure we have. I don't have it memorized.
Right. But clearly the decorations are like, a visual and an emotional whatever connection for her to that whole time that was not very happy.
Yeah, and I understand why she doesn't want to celebrate, and it's kind of sad to see her dodging bullets with with Castle and not wanting to celebrate and kind of hurting his feelings. But he was very understanding when she explained why, and it was nice to see at the end that she had a change of heart and she wanted to make a new tradition, and she wanted to make Christmas mean something different to her, which makes me think Castle's going to be in the picture a little bit like long term than I was first thinking, because if she's willing to make this kind of change in her life.
Are you kidding? Like the series finale is probably going to them being married, and then the show's going to be over.
It's not going to be over. You can be married and still have problems.
It's season,
So Beckett wedding.
but it's season 5. I think once they're married, eventually it's over. I mean, they're in
They don't
season
have to get married. I think the difference between a long-term, they can be in a long-term relationship and have breakups and get back together. But I think she sees at this point in time that Castle is the person she wants to be with, and that's why she's sacrificing her comfort zone with this Christmas thing for him.
But at the same time, it's that they still hiding the relationship from Gates.
Just
Yeah,
me.
they have a long ways to go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But
Yeah.
only because
the
there'd be
job.
ramifications,
Yeah.
not because they aren't serious about each other, I think.
I don't think Gates would care, me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think she's warming up to Castle. She
Slowly.
genuinely.
Yeah.
I think she genuinely likes him now and sees that he is a good asset to the team, and for that reason, I think she would.
She
Look
definitely
past
likes
it.
him now because of the gift he bought her. She was like surprised. She was like, "Oh, for me?"
What do you think it is?
And she was
like necklace.
and she was like, I didn't get you a gift. But I was just gonna say one other thing. You can tell by Beckett's personality, like some of the things that he wanted to do, like have a Christmas movie marathon, like that just does not seem like something that Beckett wants to do and watch It's a Wonderful Life. I don't see her wanting to sit and be laid up and watching Christmas movies. I can't see that.
Yeah.
I think that's a big step outside her comfort zone.
Yeah.
I think dinner with the family, near a 15-foot Christmas tree is a baby step for her. And like we were saying, Castle is so over the top with everything. I think if she can just accept a little bit of it at a time, she'll be good. Because that's like his whole life. His whole life is extravagant, out of this world. His mind is in another place.
You know, on a side note, you know what bothers me about the holidays?
What?
Is those stupid text messages that you get from people that you ain't heard from like for the whole entire
Happy
year,
Christmas.
and then they Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas,
Yeah.
Happy New Year's. Oh,
You know the thing that get them though, when they actually text me, I'll be like, "Who is this?"
Oh, goodness.
that is what annoys me about the holidays. That's like my biggest pet peeve is getting those crazy text messages. But something that I absolutely love is iTunes. So listen, make sure that you guys go to iTunes and you guys can download and you guys can rate and tell a friend all about the great shows that we have here on AfterBuzz TV. You know, with the new fall lineup, we have over 50 great shows that you guys can watch. We have drama, we have reality, we have comedy, we have something for everybody. So you guys make sure you go to iTunes. We've been in the top 10 a couple times. We're one of the most popular new shows here on AfterBuzz TV for the fall. So keep us in the top 10. And make sure that you guys also check out the podcast app, which organizes all of your subscriptions. So for all the different shows that you subscribe to, it will automatically download it when the show is available, and it puts it all into one podcast for you. So iTunes.
Very handy.
All right,
Yes.
It's great.
let's get into the murder.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, such an exciting show.
The murder had it was like
Kris Kringle was
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say at the top that you know, there was a lot of technical stuff once we found out more about the money side of it. But I love that the entree into it was about like, is Santa real? And then that provided everybody, you know, the opportunity to like reevaluate what Christmas means to them, which was the whole theme of the episode.
yeah. And Castle, of course, was totally into
was a believer.
it. He was a
Of
believer.
course, of course. he
Fell from
was.
his sleigh. How else would he get here? Red paint chip from his sleigh.
Sleigh. He got shot from the sleigh.
Oh gosh,
That was-
Castle cracks me up.
Yeah.
Honestly, so funny. And this episode, I think, yes, Santa was killed, but it was still pretty lighthearted and sent a good message. Not every murder sends a good
Yeah.
message. Most of them are kind of dark and gloomy and kind of messed up. And this one was pretty heartwarming, I guess, when you
Yeah.
found out what happened.
Some part.
I like the Santa school.
Yeah.
Who knew? But of course, right? Where else are they going to learn?
Yeah, how do you learn to ho 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 like that?
And from your diaphragm.
From your diaphragm. I just really thought it was kind of like weird because I never thought that people actually go to school to learn how to be Santa. Because most of the Santas I've seen, it's like, they're not very enthusiastic. It's kind of like, anybody
They're
can
the
have a
ones who didn't
Santa
go to the
job.
school.
Yeah.
And they have an agency. I
Oh,
wrote down
yeah.
Bells and Holly
Yes.
agency.
Yes.
How funny. That's so cute.
Yeah.
That's a specific market that
Yeah.
somebody targeted.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, you know, if you want to hire a Santa, where do you go?
But you know what?
Obviously.
In LA and New York, there are agents for everything.
Yeah.
Everyone, there's an agent for everything. There's hosting agents, okay? There's hosting agents. There's you have dance agents. You have agents for everybody. So I mean, Santa agent.
It just makes good business
Yeah.
sense.
to have an agent and a sleigh. But I thought this episode was nice because we start off with the dead Santa, but it leads into this whole Santa world. And at first we're brought to David Dunn was his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, David
Head
Dunn.
Santa teacher. I don't know. I mean, they're all Santa, so I don't know how to refer to them. But he was teaching all the other Santas.
He's
He
the
has
professor.
seniority over everyone
Yes.
else.
And so he said he met Edmund 5 years back when he was in a really bad place, and
Yeah.
he turned his life around being a Santa Claus. And so that kind of gives us our first insight into who the dead Santa really was and what his life was like. And at first we think he killed him. We think Santa teacher David Dunn killed Santa Edmund, and he didn't. And we thought he did because there was a plain picture with David in front of it at Edmund's apartment, which got us thinking
Yeah.
he fell from the sky. He was in a plane. David was mad because he stole what was the ad? Some ad from him, a Christmas ad.
The Cartier ad.
Cartier ad. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
ticked off about that.
The student becomes the one who steals the jobs from him.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
neighbor comes into play for the first time because the neighbor has heard this argument that's somewhat suspicious because David Dunn, the Santa teacher, threatens to kill
Yes.
Yeah.
our
Santa.
victim.
And so when they go to the house, they go to the neighbors. The kid's name was Tim, and I didn't get what the
I don't think they ever mentioned the
never
mother's
mentioned.
name.
yeah.
Her name's Mom.
Mom. They all really like Edmund. He's been a great figure in their lives. He's always been very supportive, and we find out that he's helping them out with a court case where they kind of lost everything. They lost all their money in a mortgage that was fraudulent from Sun Cove, and so we find out that Edmund's trying to help them with this case, and we don't know how or why or what Santa has to do with it.
He's had a lot of calls with a female lawyer,
Right.
and we're like, what is his investment in this?
And we find that he's doing everything. The case is going to be shut because there's not enough evidence. It's not going to pan out, and he's doing whatever he can to
help out.
see that it goes through. And that's where we kind of we're trying to find motive for the murder once we find out what he's doing outside of being a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense.
Very.
And then then they end up at this helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a helicopter with red paint.
Yeah,
Santa's sleigh.
yeah, quote unquote sleigh.
And then it was blood in the seat.
Yeah.
That was kind of like.
Gross.
Yeah. It's kind of like unusual to think that blood would still be soaking in the seat like that, for one, or somebody wouldn't clean it up. But it was kind of like, okay, well, now we found that he was actually killed in the helicopter. So now it's like, who's flying the helicopter? You know? And I think from there, Beckett and Esposito kind of like talked to the manager of the hangar, just kind of figure out like, the distance, you know, they kind of use the calculation of like, hey, the helicopter had a full tank of fuel, so the distance from the where they found Santa to back to the hangar is like, okay, this must be the helicopter actually being used. So it's kind of like unique how they kind of like figured that out.
Prior to that, though, before when we find out about the phone calls to the lawyer and we're kind of finding out what we're doing, retracing his steps, we find out that he contacted his wife.
Yeah, ex-wife.
Which I think is a huge deal if you watch the episode.
Right.
He contacted his ex-wife, who
Gwen.
Gwen.
Yeah.
Gwen.
Shortly before the murder.
Hours before the murder, and so
And
he
it-
went there.
And she actually, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no,
but
you're-
It was he made the last call to his ex-wife.
Who
Gwen.
he hasn't spoken to in
5
5
years.
years. And so he went there, she claims, with the intent to apologize for the way he left her, because apparently after watching Christmas movies with her all evening and watching It's a Wonderful Life on Christmas Eve, he woke up Christmas morning and left and never came back.
Yeah.
So that's that. And that makes you wonder what was so bad in their life that made him do that. And she seemed to think nothing was wrong on their life.
Yeah.
And then she also lied and said, well, her alibi was that she was hosting a food benefit. So that was her alibi.
Which also makes her sound like a really good guy, so
Yeah.
we don't want
A
to
good
go
woman.
after her. Right,
Yeah.
right.
And she's not.
Well,
But we'll keep that for later.
Yeah, we'll get to- yeah.
way to
Keep
give
that
it
for
away.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but so we're digging further into what Edmund was doing. He's in a helicopter. We have to find out what he was doing that night. So they find out what job he was working. And he was working, what was it called?
Case commerce.
Commerce.
Commerce, yes.
Yeah.
And so it's another company, kind of like the one he worked for previously.
Yes.
Yes.
And so he's working that party, and that's where he landed his helicopter, on the helipad of that building.
But I think it was gangster how he got the gig. So he found
Yeah.
out
Yes.
he found out that there was another Santa that was hired. And so what he did was he found out the company or the agency, and he found that out, and then he basically, called the agency and told him that the gig was canceled.
On behalf of Case Commerce, pretending he was Case Commerce.
Right, and then so he shows up and he's a Santa, and everyone obviously thinks that he's a real Santa because he shows up in a Santa suit. So I thought that was real gangster of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's like same thing when he kind of took David Dunn's position in the Cartier. It's kind of like, oh well, and I thought that he just kind of did it because he was just kind of like, hey, I'm just trying to capitalize on every opportunity possible.
Because at this point, we still think he's kind of maybe a bad guy.
Yeah.
This is a big question throughout the whole thing: is he doing these things for good motive or bad?
Right, and you find out after he was there that a clock worth almost $30,000 was stolen, and I was very confused, as were Castle and Beckett, as to why he would steal a clock and what it meant.
Yeah.
And Castle's
Right.
thinking, oh, there's a map inside, a treasure map, and I was thinking something like that too. I thought maybe there was files in there about Sun Cove, or a special document within the clock. Mm-hmm. I was wrong, but I was going there. Mm-hmm. That's what I was going with.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure. I just thought it had something to do with he knew it was expensive. He needed to get the clock, and he was gonna use it for money because he did.
Right.
He did. They did say that he had took out $2,000. So I figured he needed some kind of money, and it would be an easy thing to do rather than rob everybody. It's just steal the clock, put it into your Santa bag, and no one would notice.
Right. But it changes everything when we find out that David Dunn, the teacher, was involved, but that stuff went awry, and the teacher said, whatever. The Santa
Professor
A.
Santa.
Professor Santa. That Professor Santa says that our victim asked how much weight the helicopter could carry, because now we know the clock was not the only goal.
Yeah.
And that he paid David the $2,000 that was missing from his bank account.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was a question as to why he took that money out. And so he paid David that money. David drives him there, and then
Flies in there.
flies him there. Flies him there. And they get there, and he just stays upstairs, right? And as he's working the party downstairs, and waits for him to come up to kind of be the getaway. And he said he didn't ask any questions as to what they were taking, just how much it would weigh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably have done the same thing because I got paid $2,000.
Sorry.
I don't know. If I'm committing like grand theft or something, I'd ask a few more questions.
Yeah, but maybe that was part of the deal. I'll give you $2,000 if you don't ask me any questions. We don't know what happened behind closed door between Santa and Santa.
Right.
But it's like that always happen with people though, because like, hey, I'm asking you to do a favor for me, but you really don't know the detail of the favor until like something actually happened. But in this case, something did happen. Is that Santa Ed, he actually got shot on the way coming out.
Yeah, so he was running, and he said, go, go, go. So he jumps into the helicopter, but got shot and didn't shut the door and fell out of the helicopter.
But what's also interesting is how David Dunn, his alibi was clear, so he didn't murder. But then they find out that he did have something to do with it, and he said, "Well, I know I didn't murder him. Yes, I was there, and I was a part of his plan. I wasn't. I didn't murder him, but I know who did it."
Well, he didn't know who did it. He just knew that somebody was shooting
I'm sorry.
at him.
It was I jumped ahead. Yeah.
There's this one, okay, because we were saying past weeks have been very open shut with these murders. This one was taking twists and turn, twist and turn. And I at first thought Professor Santa did it, and then he was cleared. But then I thought he did it again, and then he was cleared.
Yeah.
And so this leads us, we find out somebody was shooting at him. So somebody who was in that party intentionally was chasing after Edmund and knew who Edmund was and what he was after. So they kind of go through and look through all of the people who worked there and find out who has a connection to him.
Yeah.
And it's his old colleague.
I mean, but even before that, with the security camera taking the pictures, they took the picture of the neighbor.
Oh, right.
And what made the neighbor a suspect, because the ex-wife was like, hey, when Ed left the house, it was when he got into a cab, somebody who
Followed him
in a motorcycle. And so when they saw the picture in the elevator, the neighbor's son had the motorcycle, so they went to go question him as if he was like the suspect. Why were you there at the party? And he explains to him the reason why he was there at the party, because Ed told him, I'm the reason why your parents lost their house. I can help you I'm trying to redeem myself and give back to you. If you help me out, I can kind of like, give you the money back and help you win this lawsuit case.
We also find out that the neighbor's father was killed that night. And that's why the next morning Edmund got up.
That night
changed his
5 years
life.
ago.
That night
Yeah.
5 years ago. That Christmas Eve 5 years ago. So when he woke up that morning and left, there was reason behind it. Somebody
Yeah.
had lost their life and a family was in extreme turmoil because of what he did and what his company had done with these fraudulent mortgages, basically, that he just profited off.
Yeah.
And so he changed his life, moved in next to these neighbors, and kind of made it his mission to help them and change their lives, which was really nice kind of to see.
So now we know he's a good guy and not a bad guy.
He was
But-
guilty.
Yeah.
He just had a guilty conscience.
Yeah.
And then also he had the neighbor, because the neighbor, he had a couple, felons. He's brushed a couple crimes, or
Yeah.
and so his thing was he knew how to pick locks.
Yeah.
Right?
And so because he knew how to pick locks, I'm getting confused with all the Santas.
Santa victim.
Santa victim needed him to pick the locks so that he can get into the office so that he can get the files.
Yeah.
Exactly, which leads us to his colleague. And obviously, he couldn't get rid of the files because the police coming in and out since the murder, just investigating. And so when they do go back, files are still there. And so it seems like this is done. It's his colleague who did it.
Question. Shouldn't Tim and shouldn't all these people that are helping him with this crime, how come they don't go to jail?
Because I think the fact that they gave up this information grants them immunity. You always see that in these murder shows. You get immunity if you give up certain information. And I
Yeah.
think just because Tim, he picked a lock. Are you really going to send this kid to juvie or to real jail? I don't know how old he is because of that.
We also don't know what happens after the episode ends. There could be less than entirely happy ends for all these people, but we'd like to assume not because it's Christmas.
But at the same time,
Christmas.
Tim never stole anything. He just kind of assisted. But I think they kind of
Yeah.
focus more on the death of Ed, the Santa victim, versus hey, you had enough turmoil in your life because you lost your house, you lost your father, and then, it's kind of like, you're okay.
Other episodes they have said, you'll be arrested for this to a certain person that they speak with who gives up information, but they still arrest them.
Yeah.
I think in this case, it's just one of those things. David Dunn flew a helicopter he wasn't supposed to fly. Okay, I'm sure they're going to press some sort of charges, maybe a fine, maybe probation. Not something that they're going to really delve into.
Because it doesn't make for very good television.
That was just a random thought. I was like, because there was so many twists and turns with this particular murder. I was like, wait a minute, all these people are involved. Normally some, when they think there's a suspect, there's an alibi, and they were a part. You think they're a part of it, but they're really not. But all of the people had something to do with the murder per se.
They're all implicated.
You had Dunn
Yeah.
who flew the helicopter. You had Tim who picked the lock. So all of the suspects were involved with the crime.
Yeah.
But they weren't ultimately the murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that leads us to the colleague, his ex-colleague, who now is at the new company who has all the old files.
Yeah.
And so he's saying, none of those files lead back to me. Nothing leads back to me. And Beckett, classy girl, she digs into him and she's like, no, because they put this clock up against their mortgage, hoping that since they couldn't make their payments, that this would be money for that, and you kept it when you took their house. So that ties you to Sun Cove. So you're implicated. That's you.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, fine, but I didn't kill him. And so
But he does know who else was at the event that could have done the shooting on the roof.
Everybody knows.
Which was what we
I
needed.
didn't kill him, but I know who
Yeah.
killed him.
yeah.
It's kind of like the thing.
Yeah, and so it's dun dun dun, the wife.
The wife!
Gwen. Gosh, Gwen.
She was so happy to see him.
I think she genuinely was. She said, I was happy to see him for a second. She missed her husband, but when she found out he was coming back just to flip her life all over again,
Yeah.
I think it just pushed her a little over the edge. If your husband up and leaves, doesn't talk to you for 5 years, and then comes back and says, I'm taking all your money and everything you ever had, and that's the next time you've seen him in 5 years, I'm sure I'd go a little crazy too.
Yeah, but the
I'm on the other
the
side, I
murder part
can't-
is maybe
yeah.
like that's the extreme.
Maybe that's extreme. I wouldn't kill anybody.
That's where I'd I don't know, call my lawyer friend and be like, hey,
Yeah.
have a talk with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, why she have to kill him?
It was kind
don't
of
think she had to
kind of
kill him.
extreme though.
Yeah.
It was, I think.
Obviously.
I think
Yeah.
it's really
I
kinda
don't
extreme.
recommend you kill anybody who steals your money. That's not what I'm endorsing here.
I think we've all heard Paige say that. So.
Like, thanks, Paige.
And I also felt she didn't feel very remorseful.
No.
Yeah, at the end, then they really painted her as somebody who's really money grubbing. It's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she just kind of did it for like multiple reasons though, because the fact that he left him 5 years ago, and then you coming back into my life, it's more like another hurtful pain because you're walking right back out of my life because you're telling me what you're going to do. But then it's also the financial issue that she's going to have because he's taking everything away from her again.
Yeah.
You know, so he took himself away from her in the marriage. He basically comes into the life telling you, I'm going to take everything away from you, and then literally tries to take everything away from her. But in the end, he still takes everything away from her because she's going to jail.
Yeah. And on top of that, they laid up together and watched. Well, I guess
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful
And
Life.
so, you know, a nice Christmas movie. So I mean, she probably thought like, yes, it's all good. And maybe he broke the news to her in the
You
morning.
guys, fun fact, I once broke up with someone at the end of watching It's a Wonderful Life.
See, she's that girl. She's that girl.
But I knew I was going to do it beforehand. I didn't know he was going to like turn it on. It's my fault.
Wow.
It was bad timing, but needless to say, I was watching this episode and was like, nah.
And so,
funny.
and so when you broke up with him, what did he say?
He was like, but we just watched it. So no, he didn't say that. We had a whole conversation. Now it's getting too personal. I don't want to. We're on the air. Sorry, guy. I'm not going to say the name of, but it was years ago.
Gotcha. I've never even seen the movie, so.
Me either.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't recommend seeing it under those circumstances.
No.
Your brain's a little elsewhere.
Note to self: do not watch Wonderful Life. It's a breakup movie.
It's a breakup movie.
Right. Apparently, in
right.
your life and in this guy's life, Edmund's
Yeah.
life. But so, overarching theme, though, of the episode was kind of good prevails, kind of. There's
Yeah.
hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and
Yeah.
Christmas, not for everybody, but represents that for a lot of people. It's the end of the year, it's a happy time.
It seems like it also was saying that like we people can choose to see the good, and that this is, you know, not only is that the sort of Santa theme with that guy making the decision to change his life, but also Beckett, you know. She can either wallow every year for good reason, but, you know, wallow every year and like think about the sad stuff, or she can choose
To be happy.
yeah, and to reconsider. And that thing about like in the Castle says about in our darkest days is when we all celebrate the light. It was nice.
I think it also is like one of those things where for every bad action, there's a positive reaction. It just depends on how you kind of like accept things in life, you know, because a lot of times you have bad things happen, but you don't have to kind of like dwell in the sadness. You can like, hey, with Beckett, she chose to spend Christmas with Castle, starting something new in tradition. You know, also with Ed, you know, he did a lot of bad things in the mortgage industry with 43 cases of people losing their homes. But then he tried to repay each person, you know, in his own way. That, you know, it's like, hey, I did bad, but now I'm trying to do something great.
And he did ultimately. I think those cases will be won because of the information they found. He's dead, but his intended goals were met.
It's true.
And what I also thought was good, particularly with this with the overall theme, is, you know, take Esposito for example. You know, he was really hurt and he was bummed about what was going on. But then toward the end, when he came in with I think with the present,
To give the clocks.
Look at the
He
clock
gave
back.
the clock back to the family.
he gave the clock back to the family, and then he got what he really wanted too. He wanted to, you know, be with someone for Christmas Eve. So he was able to give the clock, and he was able to, you know, have dinner with Tim and his mom. So it was happy. And I also liked how Castle, you know, he knew that Beckett was going to be working by herself. So although his family decided to change plans because Castle was upset, then he was getting ready to now turn on the family, although that they, you know, they canceled their plans so that they could make him happy. Then he turns around and then he wants to make Beckett happy. So then he's getting ready to leave. And then when he opens the door, then she's there because now she wants to make him happy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just overall, it was just a happy,
Happy times.
happy time, happy themes.
It was nice. It was a nice episode. I liked it. It was
Yeah.
a nice way to end off the year for Castle, and lots of things to come, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
so-
really didn't. They didn't leave it on that much of a cliffhanger.
Not like last year.
Yeah, and I do like how everyone was incorporated. You know,
Yeah.
you had Lainey who had her little thing with Esposito, and then even with Captain Gates, you know, her family, her in-laws being pilots were able to help give a clue about the whole the landing of the plane. being that it's 911, there's rules and things.
Yeah.
And so because she knew this information, because her in-laws, she was able to be able to contribute to the murder. So all the major cast members were
Pivotal.
in tonight's episode.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
Nice.
That was nice.
Anything else before we go into predictions?
Oh, and we learned that. Well, this is a segue actually, and we learned that Castle's daughter has a new
Boyfriend. Yeah.
boy.
And then Ryan's wife wants to have
A
kids.
baby.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so Esposito, of course, had his back and encouraged him to go home.
Yeah.
It's a big Christmas present. Like, hey, I want to have kids.
Yeah.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I don't think so. 'cause
But you're married. If you're married, you know that's gonna have to happen at some point.
that's a conversation you should have had before the marriage.
Yeah.
Not the first.
Well, also it's
year.
interesting that you don't have to 6 months in, just saying. But also no, it's interesting that what he focused on was not I'm not ready to be a dad. It was about the world at large, which
Yeah.
of course tied into all this theme stuff of
Yeah.
is the world bad or is the world good
Yeah.
and all that. And I love that they're 1 second conversation where Esposito's the world is good. We can all make it better was enough.
Yeah.
He's like,
He's like, I'll have a kid now.
done.
I'll do it.
He was like, "Go home and have." What did he say? Go home and have sex now.
Go home and make it.
Oh,
Get
go
it
make
on.
a baby.
Yeah, make it.
Go home and
yeah.
make a baby.
Stuff
then-
her stocking is what he
That
said.
was
Yeah.
amazing.
Pretty sure he said stuff her stocking.
We did miss talking about the earlier moment with the lingerie,
Which is very
That was
funny.
Pretty cute.
That was.
Happy moment.
Which now we know sort of set that up that the lingerie was because she was let's start trying
Having
to
a
make a baby.
baby.
I like when Ryan came in with the gift and he was like, "I'm not ready." And he was like, "Not ready for what? Sex?" So, that was probably the funniest line for me in tonight's episode.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
Good. That's good.
Okay, well, let's go into predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, so tonight was the winter finale, so they will resume in 2013 of January 7th. So we have a ways to go before you guys will see us again. So let's go on to predictions and what do we think? And what shall we expect for the remaining of season 5 in 2013?
You just like saying that.
2013. Can you believe it? It's almost here.
Crazy. But I think there's going to be, like I mentioned earlier in the show, a lot more between relationships. Not just Castle and Beckett. I think we're going to step back from that. It's not going to be the main focus anymore. And I think maybe Esposito and Lainey, maybe we'll see more of her. I think it's about to kind of get complicated and not so much just the Castle and Beckett show. I think it's been this whole first half of the season.
Although we also learned that there's this ex-wife coming into the picture to
Right.
spice up the Castle Beckett thing because I think everybody knows that the show is going to die if they just become a happy couple.
Well, let me just. I'm sorry, Castle fans. I don't want to have to throw salt, but you also know that that Castle's ex-wife is Darby Stansfield. Now she's on Castle on another show that I happen to recap.
Team Scandal.
What I
You
just
said
say?
Castle?
Oh,
What?
she's on Scandal that I happen to host. I'm sorry, I host so many shows here, but his ex-wife, she's also on she's on Scandal. So she'll only be making. I believe that she will only make an appearance or two because I do know that with Scandal they work sometimes 17-hour days. And
But
so,
an appearance or two is all you need to mess up.
A relationship.
I was about to agree on with that. Just one appearance, as you already can see, the January 7th episode. Becca's like, "So with your wife." I think that's really gonna be kind of controversial and really challenging, in most relationships, because they seem to have a perfect relationship, now. But I think just having a little bit more controversy between the two just really kind of shows are they really gonna make it in this relationship? I think even with Esposito and Lainey, I think that's gonna be something interesting to see. But my thing is, I want to see Ryan's wife. How she's gonna play in the second half of season 5.
Especially if she gets pregnant.
yeah,
Yeah.
We'll see.
yeah, I totally agree. I think we should see Ron's wife.
Yeah.
I think Castle's wife will. She's gonna come in. She hasn't been on Castle in so long. I
This
can't
is not
remember.
the one. He has 2, right? This is not the one that's Alexis's mom.
No, I think it is.
That is Alexa's mom.
Oh, okay. So that's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a
Interesting.
repeat maybe a couple weeks ago of when the ex-wife was there. But like I said, she's been gone for so long. I really can't remember the dynamics. I know she liked shopping and she wanted his credit card in one episode, but I really can't remember. So I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to wait till next year.
Yeah, so we'll be back January 7th of 2013. So let's tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Oh, you guys have to follow me on Twitter. It's at Samara Bay, SAMARABAY.
And you guys can follow me at True Peoples, TRUPEOPLES at Twitter.
All right.
And you can follow me at Paige Sull, PAIGESULL.
You can find me on Twitter and Facebook at Bamm Ericsen, and also I'm currently in a Doritos contest for the Super Bowl. And so if you guys go to my Facebook at Bamm Ericsen, that's BAMMERICSEN, you guys can go to the link where you guys can click on to watch the commercial. It's for the category of weirdest workplace, and the commercial title is called Outman's Revenge. So please go and vote so that my commercial ad can make the Super Bowl.
I'm totally doing that tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I have one more thing to add. Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
I have a blog that drops every Friday called The Smarty at the Party, thesmartyattheparty.com.
Like the title.
News you can use to schmooze. So read it before the weekend and see what's going on in the world and
Great.
Nice.
be a little smartier at the party.
All right. Well, that's it, you guys. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you January 7th, 2013.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.